Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reacting to a fascinating video from DW News about the Greenland elections. And the title asks a thought-provoking question. It says, are Greenlanders going for independence or will they be a pawn in a larger game? Wow, what a thought-provoking question. Let's dive in, guys, and explore this complex issue together, shall we?
The people of Greenland are heading to the polls to choose their next parliament in what could be a pivotal vote for the Danish overseas territory. The Prime Minister cast his ballot at the only polling station in the capital of Nuuk earlier today. Voters will elect the 31 lawmakers who will shape the island's next 4 years. Independence from Denmark remains a contentious issue, as well as Donald Trump's threats to take over the island. Locals say they're afraid of becoming pawns in a much larger geopolitical game.
An election campaign like no other, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
We don't want to be Danes, we don't want to be Americans, we want to be Greenlandic. And of course, it is the Greenlandic people who decide their future.
An autonomous Danish territory of just 57,000 people trying to do just that, determine its own future.
Right now,
that would be difficult.
Dependent on Denmark and the money we're getting from there. We could be more independent economically before thinking about getting independent in Greenland.
Exactly. I mean, how do you want to be independent when you still depend on Denmark financially? We all know Greenland gets a lot of subsidies from Denmark. I mean, this is a country that has a very small population, like 56,000 citizens, in such a very large island, and they want to be independent. It seems like poor timing to me. This is not just the time.
It is an opportunity to be independent and to vote.
Greenland is the world's biggest island. Its towns and settlements are scattered along the coast, including the capital Nuuk. It's located between the US, Canada, the European Union and Russia, and it's on the shortest route between the European part of Russia and the US. That's why the US built one of its most important radar stations here, 𝐶𝐈𝐊𝐄 Space Base. US President Donald Trump has made no secret of his desire for Greenland, which also possesses a wealth of natural resources, including minerals and rare earths.
But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
That's concerning politicians and their supporters from all parties in Greenland.
It's like he says, we're going to take over no matter what. But we're a democratic country, we're a free people, so it's worrying.
We don't want to be under the US government. We want to be an independent land.
Denmark.
How can you be independent when you don't have military? Like, you can't be a sovereign country without a military, for goodness sake. Are these guys kidding or what? Wow.
Denmark has already recognized Greenland's right to independence at a time of its own choosing. But as concerns over foreign interference increase, the island's future looks increasingly uncertain.
DW correspondent Jack Perrick has been reporting for us from Greenland in recent weeks. I asked him how much Greenlandic voters are considering Trump's plans for their country in this election.
Well, it's unquestionably part of their thinking now. This is a big issue with Trump saying he wants to buy or take over the country. But what's really difficult is to shift the mindsets of the voters, which for many decades have been focused on the issue of independence from Denmark, with Greenland being a semi-autonomous country of the Kingdom of Denmark. And so pretty much all of the parties would like some form of independence. How quickly that would take place is the difference between many of the parties. And we know that around 2/3 of Greenlanders want independence from Denmark. So the discussions in the elections mainly focus around that. But what the voters are concerned about is the quicker they would gain independence from Denmark if one of the parties that really wants to push it and immediately start the process to leave the Kingdom of Denmark, if they were to gain independence, then potentially that could leave a vacuum for the United States to sort of come in. And so that's really where the issue around the US and Trump's suggestions of buying the country come in when they're voting.
We know that the Prime Minister of Greenland, the Prime Minister's party, is expected to win the biggest share of the vote. I mean, what would that mean then going forward?
So this is where the other main issue comes in, which is around mineral licenses. Greenland is known to have about 25 of what the European Union considers the 34 critical raw materials, things like lithium for batteries, uranium for nuclear technologies. And 𝐋𝐈𝐊𝐄, the Prime Minister, the incumbent Prime Minister, in the last elections, his party won by saying that they would forbid a license specifically to the south of Nuuk, to the south of the capital, for the mining of uranium. And they've upheld that promise throughout their mandate. And it looks like he will continue to do that. Now, some of the other parties and the main opposition party, the Nalaraq party, they're probably more prone to wanting to grant mining licenses, not just for uranium, but for other minerals as well. And there's quite a famous social media star at the moment who's campaigning for them. She's called 𝐶𝐈𝐿𝐄 𝐒𝐒𝐂, 500,000 followers on TikTok and does lots of videos about Greenland. I think we can see her in the shot right there. They're much more pro-mining, and that's something that voters care about, and they're a little bit more pro-working and collaborating with the United States. The context for this is that a lot of Greenlanders say, listen, you know, the US doesn't need to buy Greenland. We're open to working with them.
Yeah, and the history of the U.S. and Greenland considering tying the knot, it goes back, 100 years. It's a different story than when we're talking about independence. And the parties which are in favor of independence from Denmark, they've been in power for some time now. So I'm wondering, why hasn't Greenland already become an independent country?
The context for this is firstly financial. Denmark pays about $1 billion a year to support Greenland's economy. But also practically, all doctors have to go to Denmark to train, and then they head back to Greenland to work there. There's no medicine school, for instance. Most of the teachers are Danish or have been trained in Denmark. And so there's still this very intense connection to the Danes that supports especially the upper level of Greenlandic life. Now, most Greenlanders want that to change, but changing it overnight is very complicated. And a lot of the Greenlandic people I spoke to, when I did extensive reporting back in January, said, we want independence, but we don't want to destroy our country by pulling the plug immediately. And that's why we expect many of the incumbent parties who want independence, but also then want to have a sort of calmer way for that, and more of a plan, more of a sort of rolling out plan rather than an immediate chop from Denmark to succeed, especially as the negotiations in how the government forms continues after this election.
Okay, our man on the Greenland beat, Jack Perrick, joining us tonight from Brussels. Jack, as always, thank you.
They want to be independent, but they enjoy the financial support they get from Denmark. How crazy is that? Greenland is not fit to be independent at the moment. I mean, with a population of 56,000, or is it 57,000, Greenland is too small to become an independent country, especially with such a very large island. Plus, it has no large economy of its own to become independent. I think by sticking with Denmark, they will get to enjoy most of the EU benefits and security. So it will be best for them to stick with Denmark, because how do they want to be independent? They don't have an economy of their own. They don't have a military of their own. How do they want to do it? To be independent means to be self-reliant. And we all know Greenland is not self-reliant. So how do they want to do it? I think it will benefit them more if they stick with Denmark, because this is even a very poor timing to become independent, if you know what I mean. The US, China, Russia, they are all watching to take advantage of an independent Greenland. So it's best if they stop with Denmark. That's my own point of view. That's my opinion. So don't come at me in the comments, okay? You guys, let me know what you think about this video in the comment. Let me know what you think about Greenland becoming independent or not. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.